Welcome back to All Things Plastics. Okay, girls, today's episode is such a good one. I'm sitting down with Jess Fairchild. She's a boudoir photographer who literally helps women see themselves in a completely different light, like confidence, empowerment. And what makes her story even more interesting is she has gone viral for her implants. And we are going to dive right into that and ask her how much it was and where she got it done. So welcome, Miss Jess Fairchild, to the podcast.
Thank you. So excited.
Okay, Jess, you got to start us off, girl. Like, where are you from? And your job is so interesting and so fun. Tell us all about it.
Thank you. I am from Santa Barbara, California. I've also lived in New York City for a while, and I really have the best job in the world. I get to show women how beautiful they are and help to empower them in a new way. And I absolutely love what I do.
And what's even more iconic is you do this with your husband. I love that.
So I do wedding photography with my husband. Boudoir is just me because that's just for the girls, but it's so fun.
When did you start doing this? Like, how did the idea come to mind? Like, tell us.
So I've been a wedding photographer for 20 years, and 12 years ago, I know, a long time. 12 years ago, I had a lot of my brides ask me if I would do boudoir photography. So I said yes. And then my bridesmaids and mother of the brides would see the photos and say, I want that experience too. So then I started offering it to any woman in any season of life. And 12 years later, I have my own studio and my schedule fills up so quick and it's so fun.
And your photos are gorgeous, stunning. Like, you make everyone look so amazing. Your work is phenomenal. And my best friend who just got married this past January or February, she actually did a boudoir shoot before her wedding. And what we did, she made like little mini printouts. And throughout the whole wedding weekend, because we did it in Mexico, we went to Puerto Vallarta. She would have the girls, the bridesmaids, run up to her husband and like be like, here you go. And it would be like different photos. I think it was like 10 different photos throughout like the whole wedding weekend. And he was like, oh my God, like what? Like, it was so cute and so fun.
I love that. Way to spice things up over the weekend. That's so fun.
You shoot weddings with your husband too. That for 20 years. That's so amazing. I love that because you're literally helping women feel confident every day. But your own journey with confidence is actually so powerful too. And I want to start with your weight loss journey because that's really phenomenal. You lost over 100 pounds naturally. Like, that's insane. Take us through that journey.
Yeah. And this was before all the Ozempic craze too. Started in 2018 is when my weight loss journey started. And I had and still have a beautiful, healthy, happy marriage and a very wonderful business. But I neglected my own health until then. And I knew something needed to change. So I lost 115 pounds through diet and exercise. Big catalyst for me was it's a long story short, but I found out that my biological dad had passed away from a heart attack at age 56.
Wow.
And I knew that if I took my own health into my own hands, that I could change my outcome. And if I didn't, then something terrible could happen. So that was the catalyst for me. And then after I lost that weight, that's when I got into all the fun things that we'll talk about with plastic surgery.
Yes. Now, did you initially start by doing your diet or did you start working out and then you transferred to diet, or how did that play? What were your steps?
Yeah, I started working out and I kind of hopped gym to gym throughout my weight loss journey. So I started at a gym that was very, very friendly, very move your body, no judgment, which is what I needed when I was over 300 pounds. And then after a while, I realized, I need to start doing more strength training and have a little bit more of a gym that really cares about outcome and results. And so then I joined a gym called F45 and did a bunch of their challenges. And that's when I started working on my diet specifically, which is when I saw the most results because I learned about macros and I learned about calories and I learned about all those things. So the majority of my weight loss was when I was working out at F45. And then I outlifted all the guys and moved over to CrossFit, which was so fun. And I loved my time at CrossFit. And the end of my weight loss came from CrossFit and all of the incredible heavy weightlifting that I did there and all the fun cardio.
CrossFit will snatch you up so quick. You burn so many calories. It's so insane. Girls are doing burpees and so many things. I have never tried F45. I've seen it. I go to Barry's. I'm a Barry's girl. But
you're incredible.
Usually where they have berries, they have F45, but I always walk past it and I see it. So I definitely have to try that.
Yeah, it's great. And it was great for that season of my life. And then now I actually do bodybuilding and strength training that way. And I love it. I still love CrossFit, but sometimes it's a little too much for my girls.
Yes, yes. And we're going to definitely get into implants and working out, especially with implants of that size, because I have 405s and, you got to secure the girls down, honey, especially when you're jumping all over the place or you're on the treadmill.
Oh, yeah.
So it's a whole process. But how long did it take you to lose over 115 pounds, roughly?
It took the majority of my weight loss happened within 2 years. All in
Okay.
all, it was, I think, 4 years to lose all of that weight. But majority of it happened within the last 2 years.
And what would you say is the hardest part mentally?
Well, initially, the hardest part is getting started. There's so much fear in the unknown. And I was terrified to
Yes.
walk into a gym, especially being
Mm-hmm.
that heavy. There's so
Mm-hmm.
much judgment that happens. And I was so afraid to walk into the gym because then everyone would know that I didn't know what I was doing and that I
Yeah.
needed to lose weight. And so stepping into it was the hardest part. But it's always funny because that natural fear that happens, it makes
Mm-hmm.
it's the same feeling as if a tiger was chasing us. When reality,
Yeah.
I just needed to try something new. So
Yes.
the hardest part for me initially was the first steps. The other hardest part was changing my habits. I mean, I was changing every single one of my daily habits. And once
Yes.
you create those new habits, it gets easier. But I switched everything. So that
Mm-hmm.
obviously that's tricky. But now it's fun for me. Like I still count my macros and I love it. It's like a
Yeah.
puzzle to me and a project. And then it's so satisfying when I complete it. So you kind of
Yes.
gamify it, and I think that makes it more fun.
Yes. And like you said, the hardest part is just starting. That is the scariest and the hardest. And it, takes a lot of courage. But once you start and you're like, oh shit, this is actually not that scary. I can do hard things. The ball just
Yes.
starts rolling, honey. And when you start losing that weight, that is like, when your confidence starts to shift and you're like, oh, wait, I like this era of me. I like this season that
Mhm.
I am in. When did
Mhm.
the confidence start to shift for you? When did you start to be like, ooh, like, no, I love this. I want to work harder. I want to lose more weight.
Yeah. Honestly, it was probably around like the 40-pound weight loss where I realized this is real for me. This is
Mm-hmm.
actually working because I had tried so many other stupid, silly diets over the years and nothing stuck and nothing worked. But I realized when I was controlling my macros and working out
Mm-hmm.
and had that lifestyle after I lost, I think it was 42 pounds. I realized I can do this. I can
Yeah.
sustain this. I'm seeing these results. And that's when I made the full promise to myself that after I lost 100 pounds, I would get my loose skin removed because I started to see my skin change so much. And there's so much confidence that comes with that. But there's also the fear of my body is changing
Yes.
so much. What am I going to look like after this?
And it's a reality check because a lot of women think that confidence just comes with losing the weight, especially when you lose over 50, 60, 100 pounds. But that's not always the case, just like your surgery journey. When did you start to notice, like, okay, I've lost all this weight. Wait, there's still extra skin. And what am I going to do about this?
Yeah. I mean, that was probably from that 40 pounds on that I lost. No matter how much weight I lost, I wasn't going to look
Mm-hmm.
snatched as if
Mm-mm.
I were that actual weight. And so realizing certain things aren't going to get better with weight loss and with
Mm-hmm.
working out. Like my collagen was so high and all of the nutrients and all of the
Yes.
supplements. And I thought, by doing strength training, they say my skin is going to be able to retain its elasticity. But I was overweight my entire adult life up until that point. So my skin
Mm-hmm.
never had the chance to even have that elasticity. So that was definitely a tricky part of it, realizing, yeah.
Were you expecting, was that your thought process going into your weight loss journey, or was that not even on your radar, the skin removal and the excess loose skin?
It was not even on my radar.
And that's what I hear the most in all my patients who are getting tummy tucks or full lifts. Like, I wasn't thinking about this. I thought, like, I might have some
Yeah.
loose skin, but not to this severity. And they're like, shoot, like, I got to start researching surgeons. Like, what steps do I take? Where do I go from here? What made you decide to move forward with skin removal and starting to do that research?
So I remember the day that I was at CrossFit and I was doing burpees and I
Mm-hmm.
was doing some sled pushes and I could hear my loose skin on my stomach flapping. And I knew other people could hear it too if they didn't know what
Uh-huh.
it was. But I had that moment of, this is holding me back from my workouts, and it was causing other issues too in my life. It's just difficult to have that much loose skin on your body. And a few of my close friends had been through a similar process. One of my friends had worked for a plastic surgeon for years. And so she said, I think you're ready for this. I didn't think I was ready. That was probably the hardest thing. I thought, I need to lose more weight. I need to do more work. My personality type is that I never think it's enough. I'm a perfectionist. So I thought there's no way I'm ready yet, even after losing 150. I thought the doctor's going to tell me I'm going to have to lose more weight. It's not even going to be worth my time to go in for a consultation because they're going to say you're not ready yet. And the people around me encouraged me, just go talk to a doctor, go in and see, and we can chat about that.
And what I hate online is, everyone is sharing their journeys, especially weight loss journeys, because it's so phenomenal. And you get these haters under the comments like, they lost so much weight. Look at themselves. They're so full of themselves. Now they're going to go get plastic surgery. And people really don't understand when you lose over 100 pounds, that excess skin really affects your ADLs and your normal way of living. And it can cause issues like rashes and infections and other things. And it's necessary a lot of the times when you lose that much weight. It's not because you want to go get a tummy tuck or, like you're superficial. It's you need to get it done sometimes. And a lot of surgeons will tell patients that. So how did you go about choosing and finding a surgeon? And how did you kind of research? Did you use YouTube or Facebook?
Yeah, I probably should have done a lot more research, but I knew my sister had gone through a similar journey of weight loss through a different mode. And she used this doctor for skin removal surgery. So I had her as my guinea pig. And then one of my best friends had previously worked for the same doctor. So I thought, I'll just make an appointment with him and see. And I was terrified. It's one of those new things, again, like walking into the gym where I made the appointment, and I thought, should I cancel? Should I not show up? But I'm so glad that I did.
And you just did one consultation and you were set. You were like, okay, we are going to do this and get this skin out of here.
So I did one consultation with him, had an amazing conversation, and I booked that surgery for, I think, a couple of months out. And then I knew that I also wanted to get my breasts done, and I knew that would have to be a separate surgery because I had so much loose skin. So then I started looking at other doctors. And so I did have a consultation with another doctor about my breasts before I had my first surgery. So it was kind of fun to have. It was like I had two consultations at the same time, even though they were for separate things. But the skin removal I booked first, only talking to that doctor.
And you did say that you did not know how hard the skin removal recovery was going to be. Do you kind of wish you knew more about it? But if you knew more about it, would you have gone through with it still? That's the real tea. Or was it better to be like ignorant about it?
I mean, ignorance is bliss for sure.
Yeah.
I'm so thankful that I had all of my loose skin removed and that I had a full 360 as well as my broadline back roll done at the same time. But I wish that I would have planned out more time in my schedule to recover because I didn't realize I would not be able to function as fully myself for 6 weeks. I thought I recover quickly. My skin heals fast. If I get a cut, I'm going to be fine. I think I talked myself into thinking that I was a really special case and that I would heal up really fast. And
you got a reality check, girlfriend. How long did you realistically give yourself? Like, did you give yourself 3 weeks or something crazy?
No. 2. I gave myself 2 weeks.
For a full of Jess, girl.
I know. It's okay though. It worked out. I moved things around and in my schedule, physically, I couldn't move anything.
What was the hardest part about your recovery? Was it mobility? Was it pain? What was it for you?
All the above. I was just so not myself. I was so knocked out. I remember I didn't even touch or look at my phone for 3 or 4 days. And luckily I had my husband to care for me and he did such a great job. 2 of my friends are nurses and they cared for me too. But I couldn't function at all. And I couldn't do anything on my own. I'm normally a very independent person and I like to be in control of things. And I felt completely out of control, in pain, and unable to do I couldn't even open the fridge to get something out of the fridge. So it was a humbling recovery for sure.
That's why so many women we call them like the post-operative blues, where they get in such a funk because they know it's going to be hard, but they don't understand the extent of hard. Having to rely on people for a certain amount of time for even the simplest tasks. Going to the fridge, grabbing a water, refilling your cup, getting your meds out. They're like, oh my God, I can't even do this. Like, what the hell? And also, you touched on being in control, because having surgery and going into recovery, you think you're in control because you prepped well. But in reality, like, you lose a lot of control in that recovery phase because you're relying on so many people, your caregiver, your lymphatic therapist, your surgeon, So
Yeah,
that's definitely a big reality check.
Yeah. But I will say the greatest reward from it was the first time that I actually saw what I looked like when I went back in. I think it was probably 3 days after when he removed the bandages, and I didn't have the energy to be as excited as I
Excited.
probably felt, but I was thrilled. I was in pain and all of the things and could barely move, but I just remember thinking, "Oh my gosh, there's my flat stomach. There's my brand new belly button. I can't believe that this is what I look like now. This is the greatest reward."
The full body lifts are so oh my God, the transformation is insane. Yes, there is a factor of having that scar, but if you do your scar creams, you do your scar tapes, your gels, maybe get laser, I mean, that outweighs everything. Like how you look and snatched and seeing your new physique, like that outweighs the scar. That's what everyone says. So, that's so good. And I'm glad you like the belly button, girl, because the girls out here are worried about the belly button. And I get it. I would be worried too.
It's true. It's true. I didn't even think about my belly button going into it. And then I remember people asking me, did you get to pick from a pamphlet which belly button you wanted? And I thought, no.
Wait, my
but
surgeons,
she's cute.
You don't have a pamphlet for people to look at to pick out the belly button.
Does.
No, the surgeons will try to make it look as natural as they can, depending on, how much skin they have to pull, the location, anatomy, all that fun stuff. But yeah, I mean, you're just praying and hoping that the surgeon does good enough work that the belly button looks similar to your previous one. It's not going to be the exact, but
yeah. Well, it's definitely better because my previous one was hidden under all of my loose skin. So the fact that this one is cute.
You'll take it, girl. And do you remember how much you paid for your full body lift or a rough estimate?
That is such a good question. Okay, this was 4 years ago.
In Santa Barbara or the OC?
In Santa Barbara, yeah. In Santa Barbara. This was 4 years ago in Santa Barbara. I think it was probably somewhere between 12 to 14 grand. I think.
That sounds about right.
Yeah.
That's actually a little bit even on the lower side, but like you said, it was 4 years ago, so prices were different.
Yeah.
But that sounds about right. That's a good range.
Yeah.
Now, we have to talk about what the internet is obsessed with, and that is the girls, your breast augmentation, honey. And you have not had one, you have had multiple breast surgeries. Walk us through the timeline first so we understand.
Yes, absolutely. So I've had 3 breast surgeries. My first breast surgery was actually 6 weeks after my skin removal.
Wait, Jess, you're lying.
No, which I'm so glad. I'm so glad.
That is insane. You're like you're fighting for your life for 6 weeks. And then you're like, hold on, let me go get another surgery so I can fight for my life again.
Honestly, we planned it that way on purpose. And I'm so grateful because I still couldn't do everything on my own anyway. So I would rather I thought I'd rather heal from a second surgery when I'm only 6 weeks in than wait 3 months, 6 months, and then have to go through that all over again.
You're like in the thick of it, might as well, go through it all at once and spread it out. I understand.
Yeah. Because when I had my consultation with Dr. Kelashadi for my breasts, that first consultation that I had, he explained to me, this is not a one surgery deal. He said some doctors might offer this as one surgery, but there are very high risks in having a lift and that size implants put in at the same time. And because of my weight loss, my breasts were so saggy.
The girls were sitting low.
My nipples pointed down to the ground. And I think he moved my nipple up 4 inches on one side and probably a little more on the other.
That's amazing.
He said the size implants that you're looking for, because I knew I wanted large implants. He said the size implants you're looking for, as well as getting a lift, there's nothing to hold those implants in with a lift. He was completely reconstructing my breasts at that point. Mm-hmm. So he told me these have to be 2 separate surgeries. And I remember thinking, I'm so bummed that this can't just be one surgery, but I feel so cared for knowing that this doctor cares about the risk. And he said, I'm not willing to take that risk. And I did talk to other surgeons who were willing to take that risk. And I thought, no, I'm not giving you my money.
That was my question because
Yeah.
a lot of women, they get told no by one surgeon and then they go peek around and then, a handful of other surgeons are like, okay, yes, we'll do it. But it's like you're really playing because sometimes the surgeons who will do it, you might have to go back and get a revision.
Yeah.
So it's like maybe just do it right the first 2 surgeries instead of going back for a revision. You're getting 2 surgeries regardless.
Yeah. And he explained if something goes wrong, it goes really wrong. It goes so wrong that you're in the ICU and lots of other things. And
you
I
have necrosis, infection, especially with the lift. Like lifts they're pretty comprehensive, especially when you've had major weight loss. And you said he moved your nipple up 4 inches. Girls, like if you get a little ruler and look at 4 inches, that's a lot of skin that surgeon is removing. And then they have to fix the areola. So that's a lot of sewing work. You're going to have a decent scar. And you wanted, drum roll please, for your first set of implants, you wanted 700 cc's. Honey, Jess said, let's go big or go home.
Honestly, I would have had 800 if they would have fit. But I remember waking up from surgery and he said, welcome to the 700s club. I was like, okay. 700 sounds big enough, but maybe I should have gone bigger. But honestly, I've had large breasts my entire life. And obviously after weight loss, they weren't perky, but I'm used to my body having large breasts. So I knew that I wanted to have large implants, especially for my frame.
Hearing that take and that side and thought process of it, because when we hear, oh, she got 700 cc's, we're like, damn, like that's big. But you just explained you've had large breasts your whole life. So it's like you want to maintain that physique. That's what you're used to. So I love that thought process and like explaining to people why you chose that size.
Yeah. So the first surgery, which was a lift and basically a reduction because of how much skin that was removed. Like I said, that was 6 weeks after my skin removal. And then I had to wait for that to heal for, I think it was 4 or 5 months. And I had never had small boobs in my life until that moment. And so I had these cute little tiny boobs. I think I went from a 34D to about a B. And so I had these cute little B boobs for 4 months. And I was like, oh, this is so fun. I feel petite. I don't feel me, but I feel petite and fun. I ran so much. I've never ran that much in my life. Yeah.
You're like, I have a waistline. I have the girls are small. You're like living your best skinny life.
Yeah. I was like, I could run a marathon without a sports bra. And the doctor said, well, don't do that. But yeah you probably could.
Oh my goodness. And you waited 4 to 5 months and then you went back again. And that's when they put in the 700 cc implants.
Yeah.
How was that? Were you nervous?
No, that was honestly this sounds funny, but one of the happiest days of my life because I had been so patiently waiting for that surgery because I knew this is like tying the ribbon on everything. Like this is the final surgery, or so I thought, but this is the final surgery that I'm going to have that is the reward for all of my weight loss. And I wore this like cute bright pink pajama set going into it because I thought I'm going to wake up and I'm going to look and feel like Barbie. And I am so excited for it.
Love. That is so Jess Fairchild coded. Now, wait, real question is, before you even started your weight loss journey and this whole transformation, were you wanting implants like growing up? Like, did you ever think about getting a boob job or that wasn't on your radar?
Honestly, it wasn't on my radar because my boobs were so large. So I never ever had thought about getting implants. I don't even know if I had really thought about getting a lift because I wore an underwire bra with like a lot of padding, especially once I started losing weight. So that way I still had really bubbly cleavage, but the girls had to be supported. I don't think I'd ever thought about getting my boobs done until
the weight loss.
Yeah. Good question.
And, I love that you're explaining this so perfectly because like I said earlier, women lose weight. They're having such high confidence. And then they realize, oh, I might need to get a body lift or, oh, I might need to get a tummy tuck. And then there's like, oh, wait, what about the girls? What about the arms? Like, of course, if you lose weight, you don't have to get any surgery, whatever floats your boat. But most of the time, most women, just to be transparent and honest, they're like, oh, wait, there's a lot of loose skin here. Like, I rather have not lost the weight and kept my old body than dealing with this saggy skin. And that's just reality. And then they start to notice, I need the tummy tuck, I need the breast lift, I need the arm lift, I need the thigh lift. And there's so many factors that go into losing weight. So I love how you're so open and transparent and just giving us
Yeah.
everything.
Honestly, I had a moment, and I have to say, like, shout out to my breast doctor, Dr. Kalashadi, because I remember being in his office. This must have been after my 700s. And I started talking about maybe I should get an arm lift. Maybe I should get a thigh lift because I do have other loose skin on my body
Mm-hmm.
from losing that much weight. And I remember him saying, Jess, stop. You're spiraling. You
Mm-hmm.
don't need to have those things done. You look great. Why don't you focus on filling in those areas with muscle and getting
Mm-hmm.
back to, because I was still healing from my skin removal. But I remember him saying,
Yeah.
you're spiraling. Don't think about those things right now. Focus on basically working on your physique and getting back to the strength that you had before these surgeries. And then in a few years, if you want to, we can talk about that. But I remember thinking, oh, I am spiraling. And it's so
Yeah.
easy to spiral and to think,
So
what's
easy.
next? What else can I do? But to
Yeah.
have a moment to step back and realize, I'm actually really happy with this. I'm really happy with my body. I'm happy with what those surgeries were able to give me. And I love what I love what I see when I look in the mirror. And I'm so grateful for that. And I'm grateful for someone pulling me back and making sure I didn't get
Yes.
too crazy with that.
And that's a good surgeon. Like, we have a lot of patients that come in and spiral, almost every other patient for multiple reasons. And having a surgeon that's grounded and makes you feel secure and safe and brings you back to reality, like, that's this kind of surgeon you need. And, you'll get that vibe in your consultation. When you go to consultations, yes, every surgeon has different personalities. Some have better bedside manner than others, but
Oh,
it's
yeah.
really about the surgeon, like, putting your safety as their number one priority. And sometimes that requires the surgeon to be like, sit down. We're not going to do this. This is what we're going to do first. And, sometimes patients don't like that. And they're like, forget you. It's my money. This is what I want to do. But sometimes that's what women need to hear.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So you got the 700 cc's. How long did you have them before you wanted to go bigger? And you better not tell me a couple weeks, girl, because
No, okay, no.
what was it, Jess?
I loved my 700 cc's. I woke up from surgery. I was so happy they were 700. Like I said, I wish that they were 800s, but he said that was the largest size implant that I could fit in your pocket, having never ever had anything in my pocket before. So I were healed and recovered from those. They were so high up. They were square and so
Yes.
high, and it took them
Yes.
so long to fluff.
Girl, when you go that big, of course. I mean, I got 400, 405s, and like the girls were up to my shin. I looked crazy for a little bit. So having 700s, the girls were there, like no neck, all titty.
And I was so happy to have boobs again that I literally wore like strapless dresses, and my boobs would be up here for the first couple months.
It's
And
part of the
doctor
process.
just laughed. I know. I was so happy though. I was like, I don't care. I know they'll fluff, and they did.
Did he do high profile or mod profile or low? What did he do? Do you remember?
High profile under the muscle.
Okay, so yes, that's exactly what I got. High profile girls, that will give you that cleavage. If you want that exaggerated cleavage line, that's what you're looking for, get the high profile. The mod profile is obviously you'll still have a nice little cleavage, but it won't be so profound if you don't want that augmented look.
So it was probably around 3 months afterwards where I went in for 3 month post-op, and they looked great. To me, they looked too small on my frame and a little too far apart. There was no actual cleavage in the middle. And so I asked him, are they going to fluff any more in the middle? Am I going to get any more cleavage in the middle from this? And he said, no, probably not. Maybe a little, but probably not. And I remember thinking, I thought they would look bigger on me. I thought that this size on my frame would look larger. And I like the look of larger implants, especially on so many of his clients. And I thought, I wonder if it would make sense to go larger. And I did ask him, and he said, 100 cc's won't make a difference. The only thing available the time on the market for silicone was 800 cc's. And he said, it's not worth going through the process.
It's not worth going to do a third surgery.
No.
Wow.
No. And he did mention at some point over 1,000 cc's will be approved by the FDA, but not anytime soon. So I thought, you know what? I will live with these. They looked great. There was nothing wrong with them.
You were just nitpicking.
I was used to having big boobs. And so I thought, I want these to be a little bit bigger, but that's not an option right now. So I'm going to enjoy these to the fullest. And I did. I really, really did.
And how long did you have to sit with the 700 cc's until the FDA approved the 1200 cc's.
It was 2 years and 1 month.
Oh, honey has it down to the day. She's like 5,026 days. If you were asking, I was waiting.
So at some point when I went back to see, it was probably after my 1 year, it was probably when I was getting lip filler. And I mentioned to him, I said, Dr. K, I'm ready for more horsepower. And he's a car guy, so he loved it. He laughed. And he had tried to talk me out of it for a while. And I said, no, I know my body. I know my frame. I know that I want larger implants. I'll wait however long. I don't need them right now, but this is what I want my final look to be. And so he said, okay, as we get closer to knowing when they're going to be approved by the FDA, we can have a proper consultation for that size. So I had my consultation for that in May of, I think that was exactly 2 years after my 700s. And then he said, they're not FDA approved yet, so we'll just wait and see. And I remember he called me the day that they were FDA approved and said, but it was June. I'm as a wedding photographer, as a boudoir photographer.
It's prime time for you.
I can't just clear my schedule. And I know the rules. I know that I can't lift over 10 pounds. And I know that I can't lift anything, or I couldn't do a boudoir shoot within that next week, and for sure couldn't do a wedding. So I found out they were available, did not think that I would be able to get them until another 6 months. And then my schedule magically cleared up. Like I had things rescheduled and things moved. And all of a sudden I had 3 weeks at the end of June to mid-July with nothing on my schedule. And I remember I was in my studio and I had my last one rescheduled. And I thought, I'm calling the office immediately. I told my husband, he was like, you have to call. And I said, there's no way he's going to have availability. He's always booked out. And so I did. I called and I said, Valerie, the receptionist, I said, Valerie, I know there's probably no chance at all. And I explained to her, she goes, Jess, we just had someone need to reschedule. We have 1 day fully open. And it was 7 days out.
Stop.
She was like, it's 7 days out. She called Dr. K. Everything was great. She was like, 7 days out, which is kind of crazy.
Girl, that is not kind of crazy. That is wild because your labs, your clearance, your supplies, the hustle and bustle of things, you're going to be on the table in 6 days. Like, wait, what?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
I said yes. And then I realized, oh my gosh, what am I getting myself into? I'm going into surgery in 7 days. But knowing that I had the time afterwards to recover was amazing. And I knew that getting larger implants, there was a chance that I would need longer to recover, which I did. I learned from my first surgery to not expect expedited recovery.
Yeah. Now,
and then I got everything together.
Yeah. Now, if you wouldn't have had prior surgeries, see, this is one thing I kind of have beef with these surgeons is surgeons, if they have a cancellation, they will post on Instagram or Facebook and say, last minute opening in 2 weeks. Like, here's the email. If you have the funds available, we can get you in 2 weeks. And if you are somebody getting surgery for the first time, I don't care if it's a rhinoplasty, a breast aug, a tummy tuck, whatever it is, having only 2 weeks to get your shit together, more than likely, I feel like you're at higher risk for complications because you haven't done, I can guarantee you haven't done the proper research. You don't know what supplies to get. You are not going to have your lymphatics and your hyperbarics figure it out in 14 days, especially if you're traveling. That's wild to me. If you're going to Miami or if you're going to Turkey or wherever the hell you're going, like, I do not approve of that. I think you should not do that. But in your case, you've already had multiple surgeries. You know the game that needs to be played. You probably have some supplies left over. That I understand, like a week, okay. But if you're a first time, don't be doing that because that's crazy.
Yeah. But even, the amount of people that don't realize they need to stop smoking and not be drinking and all of those things. My diet, luckily, I've never smoked and I don't drink unless I'm on vacation. So I knew, I've already done all the things to prepare for this. I can go in 7 days.
Yeah.
But any normal person, I would say probably 90% of people.
Yes, like getting mentally ready, especially for surgery too. People think like, oh, I'm going to go get a breast aug and I'm going to look fantastic. What do you mean I need to get mentally ready? Like, no. Even if the girls still look amazing, more than often you're going to go through that post-operative blues phase of what did I do? Why did I do this?
Roller coaster.
That roller coaster. So it's like, yes, like you still need to get mentally prepared. Even if your outcomes are phenomenal and exactly what you wanted, you're still going to go through that roller coaster phase. I'm kind of glad that the FDA didn't have that size of implants on the market because it really made you wait and sit and like make sure that you wanted them. Because I know you really did, but like just that extra time.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yes.
I think everyone around me was glad too, because
Yes.
I'm the type of person that when I know what I want, I will go after it and make it happen. And I think everyone thought maybe she'll change her mind. Maybe she'll realize these are great and she doesn't actually need to go bigger. And then I thought, no, I'll wait as long as I want, but I know this is what I want.
And your recovery with your 700 cc's, how was that? Was that okay? No complications?
Yeah.
Smooth?
Yeah, the recovery from the 700s was so easy. The easiest recovery out of any of my surgeries. I remember
Okay.
I felt fantastic. And the
Wow.
hardest part was that I couldn't start working out and I couldn't start like I go on hot girl walks every day for a couple miles along
Yes.
the waterfront and the hardest part for me was not going on my walks and not being able to work out yet because mentally and physically I felt absolutely incredible from day 7 after my
And what was the major difference, if any, that you noticed between the 700 cc implant recovery versus your 1200 cc implant recovery?
Yes. So the 1240s are big boys, and I was in more pain
Of
for
course,
sure.
you are stretching and you went under the muscle. So you're
Yeah.
stretching that muscle, that pocket. So yeah, you're going to have some pressure and definitely some
Yeah.
pain.
Yeah. I was definitely in more pain, which I think by day 7 or 8, the pain, I was off all of the actual pain medication.
Uh-huh.
Everything took twice as long. So
Okay.
like normally, I think for my 700 cc's, I was back working out in the gym after 4 weeks, doctor approved 4 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
For my 1240 cc's, it was 8 weeks.
Yeah. Wow. That's a major
Yeah.
difference. And did you have any complications with this third surgery for your breast or no? Once again, smooth sailing.
Smooth sailing. I stayed down. So the doctor's office is in Newport Beach. And so I
Uh-huh.
stayed in Newport for the first couple nights. So, because he wanted me to come back in just to make sure everything was great. So I came back in
Mm-hmm.
the next day and I remember that's when I got to see them for the first time. And I
Yeah.
was very happy with how they looked. But I remember him telling me, just expect everything to take a little bit longer because I was the first one in his office for that had over 1,000 cc's put in.
Girl, I was about to say, at my private practices in Beverly Hills, we have not given anyone over 1,000 cc's. Like,
Yeah.
so I've never even seen that surgery. I've never even seen that recovery process. So, and
Yeah.
that's a very specific look, and there's only a handful of patients that want that size of implants. So,
Mhm.
my goodness. So he wanted to
Yeah.
keep an eye on you, honey.
Yes, he did. And I'm so glad he did. And he prepped me really well for knowing what the outcome might be
Mm-hmm.
as far as how long it might take my body to recover from it. And he set it up by saying, these are basically twice the size of your previous implants. Everything might take twice as long. And so I thought, okay, I'm here for it. But I knew that this is the look I wanted. So if I have to wait twice as long to go back to working out, it's worth it. That's totally
You were
fine.
willing. Did he go through the nipple or did he go under the breast for the incision?
Under. So I think it was actually he cut right in the same line from where my previous
Lift
lift and
was.
then 700 cc's were. Yeah. Obviously, it had
Okay.
to be a slightly larger cut than the 700s because they are
Uh-huh.
bigger. But I remember them telling me the next day that they made the smallest incision possible and just how impressed they were with how small of an incision they could make to fit in 1240 cc's.
Did you do any scar treatments after surgery? Did you prioritize that or no? And they healed beautifully on their own?
So I put scar gel on it probably starting about 4 weeks afterwards. And then I
Okay.
am so careful with the sun. So I've
Yes.
always been really, really careful. I love being in the sun. I'm
You're
such
a beach girl. I see all
a
your
beach
beach
girl.
content. You and your husband are traveling. It
Yes.
looks beautiful, but you definitely have to take extra
Yeah.
caution.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I have a specific zinc stick that I always put
Mm-hmm.
on every single one of my scars before I go into the sun, and then
Mm-hmm.
SPF as well. So I'm extra careful with that, but I haven't done any specific laser treatment on actually any of my scars.
Okay. Do you like your scars? Or are they kind of flat? Are they light colored?
Yeah.
Or
Yeah.
do you not really care? Or do you think you might try to do something? What's your take on it?
Yeah. I've been amazed at how honestly all of my scars have healed so much over time. And there's certain areas, especially in my 360, that
Mm-hmm.
it disappeared. Like you look and you're like,
Okay.
oh, there's actually no scar there whatsoever. I didn't have any keloids. I didn't have any part that was raised at
Good.
all. It definitely has gotten better over time. It's something I probably will look into in the future, but it's not urgent by any means. They really have faded so well. Maybe someday.
Now, let's talk about real life living with large implants. Number one question, does having larger implants affect your day-to-day life at all? Or
Oh,
no?
absolutely. Absolutely. But
Tell
in
the
a
girls.
good way. In a good way. I It has honestly, it's increased my confidence. I've always been a confident person, but
Mhm.
especially once the larger implants fluffed and settled in, I love what I see in the mirror. And this feels more me than any other surgery I've ever had. It does affect almost everything about my daily life. When it comes to putting my seatbelt on, I still often move my seatbelt to the side so it's
Mhm.
not cutting through the middle of my girls when I go to the gym every day. And so when I'm picking out gym outfits, I have to often buy a larger size sports bra than the rest of the outfit because they're just that much larger than they used to
Yeah.
be. That was a big thing about going from when I didn't have any implants at all and just had the
Yes.
lift to having implants. I was one size through and I would wear pretty much a
Yep.
medium on top and bottom. And then as soon as I got my implants, it went up to a large. And then when I got my twins, consistently extra large in everything
Yes.
on the
And same.
top. And yeah,
Yep. And
yeah,
that's like the annoying part. You can't buy like matching sets or do it easy. Like with me, I have to buy a large top and a medium bottom and pretty much
yeah.
everything. I could fit into a medium, like a sports bra or t-shirt, crop top or something. But then I feel like sometimes I look like stuffed.
Yeah.
So it's like I
Yeah.
could do the medium, but it's like realistically, I'm a
Yeah.
large.
Yeah. And I've learned that the number of the size or the letter of the size is not a reflection of who you are. And it's not,
No,
you can't pay
no.
attention to it that way. This is what I wanted. So
Uh,
knowing that sometimes I have to size up in things, that's
it's part of
okay
the game.
because it's part of the game.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And when it comes to working out, though, I have completely changed my workouts.
Yeah.
A lot of like specifically strength training, anything
Hmm.
that I would have worked out my chest muscles, I just stopped doing
Yeah.
completely. And
Hmm.
I worked with a personal trainer who's IFBB pro and like went through that process. I don't want to be on the stage, but I loved learning that part of
Hmm.
bodybuilding. And she said, yeah, she said, make sure that you have some strength there. You don't want to completely get rid
Of
of your chest
course.
muscles and not have any strength there just for your life. But there's no need to grow those muscles because your implants are so large that it's not going to make a
You're not going to
difference.
see your pectoral muscles, like your
No,
cleavage is
no,
going to, yeah.
no,
So just
no.
do
I
the
paid to max
maintenance.
those out. Yeah,
Yes.
yeah, exactly.
With the gym for me, I can run, no big deal, but like I hate jumping movements. Jumping, anything like high knees or fast, I can't. Like
Yeah,
even if I have a sports bra, I just feel like I am heavy
yeah,
chested. It's annoying. I don't like it. It makes me feel uncomfortable. Like
yeah,
I don't do any high knees or anything. Like does that the same
yeah.
with you?
For me, burpees is something that I just don't do anymore because
Yeah.
throwing my body down breast first onto the ground sounds like the worst possible thing
Yeah.
that I could do for my body.
Uh-huh.
Jumping and running is fine. I don't really enjoy running. I never have,
Mhm.
except when I had really, really tiny boobies. That was fun.
Mhm.
But I don't really enjoy running anyway. I do a lot more. I swim and I grew up swimming. So for swimming, it's amazing. I do a lot of rowing and then a lot of other like heavy strength training.
But like any gym girls out there looking to get a breast augmentation and you're going bigger or even smaller, it's going to affect your routine and you are going to have to switch up some things. So just keep that in mind and, do your research ahead of time. So when you go back to the gym 6 weeks later, you're like, wait, what? I can't do this. So just be prepared. And shopping for clothing, regular clothing, going out clothing, is that harder or is that easier now?
So definitely easier.
Mm-hmm.
I had to change my entire wardrobe. I don't own a single thing from
Mm-hmm.
before my skin removal. So I spent so much time throughout my weight loss. I had a lot of fast fashion items because I knew that
Mm-hmm.
my body was changing so quickly. And then as I got all of my surgeries, I realized I need a completely new wardrobe in a good
Yeah.
way because my
Yeah.
body has changed so much. So what's really fun is because with my 1240 cc's, I have an internal bras.
The mesh.
The mesh is incredible and holds them up
Yes.
so well that these actually feel lighter on my body than when I had large, heavy breasts, even at my largest weight. So I don't feel the weight of them,
Mm-hmm.
which is great for working out for sure. But also I don't need to have outfits that support them. I can wear
Yes.
things like this that are like a
Loose.
nice towel neck, and they actually have that support on their own. So shopping is way more fun. There are definitely times where I try something on and I realize it gets stuck right here. I'm like, this is not going over the girls. And when I had natural breasts before, I would try to like maneuver my boob into something.
Yeah. Yeah.
There's no
No
maneuvering. Like,
maneuvering.
this is them. This is where they are. They don't move. So
Yes.
I have definitely had some moments in the dressing room where I thought something would fit and it doesn't, but that's okay. It makes it really
Yeah.
fun to find things that flatter my body now, and it makes it more fun to find things that show off the reward of all
The
the hard work I
girls.
put in. Yeah.
Yes. And any issues sleeping? Like, were you a
Ooh,
side sleeper, a
yes.
tummy sleeper? What are you now? Are you sleeping like you're in a coffin? What are you doing, Jess?
I have been a happy side sleeper my entire life. I've
Uh-huh.
always slept on my side, and my chiropractor has been trying to talk me out of sleeping on my side
It's so
for
hard to do
6
that.
years. Ugh, I
Ugh,
know.
it's
So,
ugh.
as you know, in recovery, I actually ended up sleeping sitting up for the majority of at least a month, if not longer, after the recovery from every single one of my surgeries.
Yeah, girl.
It
I was
just
like, you were
helped
sleeping up for a while after.
a long time, long time. Probably like a year in total after all of my
Yes.
surgeries. So now I don't have to sleep sitting up, thank God. But I sleep on my back as much as possible.
Yeah.
With my 700 cc's, I could still sleep on my side eventually. After a couple months, I was
Mm-hmm.
comfortable sleeping on my side. With these girls, I really don't like sleeping on my side, but I will do
Uh-huh.
this. This may sound funny, but I let my side sleeping be a treat. So I will fall asleep on my back because eventually, if you're tired, you will fall asleep no matter what
Yes.
position you're in. So I'll fall asleep on my back. I don't even know where my hands are when I sleep. It might be coffiny, honestly. And then if I wake up like an hour before my alarm, I'll let myself sleep on my
Sleep
side
on
for
your
the last
side.
hour. And I won't be fully on my side. Because I don't want to push my implant too much.
Uh-huh.
But yeah, I'm like a side napper and then a
Okay.
full back sleeper.
Okay. I
Yeah.
love that. Very intentional about the side sleeping. Girl,
Yeah.
I still sleep on my side. When I get tired, I roll over onto my right side and I fall asleep. I'm like, whatever
Yep.
at this point in life.
And I think you can do it with support. If you have like a pillow to support you, I think it could probably feel
Mm-hmm.
more comfortable.
Yes.
My implants are so large, they don't feel, they don't hurt when they're pressed on. But when I
Yeah.
put all of my weight on my side and sleep, they just feel like maybe I shouldn't be doing that.
Yes. And
Yeah.
I have a question for you because I have my answer with my implants. Do you feel like, say you have to go somewhere and you want to be a little bit more covered up? You don't want to show the girls whatever, if it's professional or if it's whatever you're doing. Do you still feel, even if you try to dress more modest and not show the girls that day, do you still feel that it's not giving modest because they're still there? Whether you try to hide them or not and wear a regular t-shirt, the girls are still there.
Yeah.
So is it hard for you to sometimes cover up if you choose to, or what's that like?
Yeah, honestly, finding modest outfits is way more difficult than finding
Agreed.
normal, everyday, fun outfits.
Agreed.
As a wedding photographer, it's important for me to not look like I'm just going out to the club when I am photographing someone's wedding. I wouldn't wear this to I wouldn't wear a hot pink dress to photograph a wedding anyway.
Of
But I
course.
definitely have to work a little bit harder. I love shopping, so I definitely have to do a little bit more shopping to figure that out. But no matter what I wear, this is my body. And when you can see the shape of my body, people are still gonna say something or
Of
think
course.
something.
I'm like,
And
I
that's
try to
just how
dress
it
modest
is.
and I'm like, I still look like a hooker. I just look like a high class hooker.
Very high class.
I'm like, instead of like a cheap hooker this weekend, I look like a high class hooker, which is fine. I love it. But it's like, damn, even when you try to be modest, like they're still there.
It's so true. It's still your body. It's still the form that you have.
Yeah.
But I do find that if I try to wear something like baggy, then I feel big. And especially having been overweight for so much of my life, if I wear something that truly covers the fact that I have large breasts, then I just look very large, and
large or
that is not
bulky.
my jam.
Agreed. Yeah.
So I would rather show curves and be a little more on the seen side than hide them completely.
So if you girls are, working in corporate or very professional or go to church or whatever you do, and you want to get larger implants, you will have to work harder in finding outfits. And I will tell you right now, coming from the both of us, even if you try to dress modest, people are still going to see the girls unless you're wearing ruffles over your chest every day. Like they're still going to be there. You could still see them, even if, you're wearing a turtleneck. Now, talking about perception and confidence, you have gone viral on social media. The post that went viral is over 6.2 million views. It was you and your husband at the beach and you guys were recording yourselves and you had on an outfit like you're wearing now. The girls were out, honey. And I forgot what the post was about. Obviously, I was distracted and Jess is just spinning and the girls are just right there. And I was like, okay, girl. And then I went to the comments and everyone was like, I can't even focus on anything else because I'm staring at the girls. Did you think that was going to go viral? Like, what happened?
So we were celebrating our 12-year anniversary. We were out on a fun date. And right before we went to dinner, I said, let's take a quick video. And so we took a video and my husband spun around with me and it was so cute, so fun.
It was cutest,
and then,
yes.
Yeah, so cute. And that night, it was 11:58 at night and I was about to post it as a story. And my husband said, you should just post it as a reel. It's so cute. Why don't you post it as a reel? And I thought, okay, great. Posted it as a reel, said, celebrating 12 years of marriage, married to my best friend. Every day feels like an endless sleepover where we never stop laughing. Woke up to it already being at multiple millions. Now it's at 60 million views.
Oh, 60 million?
Yeah.
Oh, girl, I thought I read 6.2. No, you're probably 62 million. Oh my gosh. You're like Beyonce. You broke the internet. That is crazy.
Without trying. I was just trying to post a cute video.
And then you were like something, what did you say with you? Something pillows or can't wait to sleep next to you. What did you put?
So I said, every day feels like an endless sleepover where we never stop laughing. But other people said, yeah, it would definitely be a great sleepover with those pillows.
Yes, I saw that. I was like, oh my God, that's hilarious.
There were some
my goodness.
clever comments.
Clever comments, for sure. Do you feel like you got more love or did you feel like you got more hate for having that big of implants?
Honestly, that was the first reel that I'd had go viral since I had my larger implants put in. Definitely, it was probably 50-50. I definitely had a lot of women who just said incredible things, who started following me and understood that I help other women see how beautiful they are and they love the empowerment and the confidence, all of that. I definitely had a lot of people say negative things. And to me, I know my identity. I know my worth. I know that it's not in what strangers say about me. And I know not to read the comments if I'm not in a good place. So I was always careful to only read the comments when I was okay.
Yes.
But people said some terrible things. And honestly, how people respond to you is a reflection of themselves and what they're going through. And I knew that going into it. So it kind of became a game for us. We literally had a night where I would read, all of my friends were over, they filled their mouths with water, and then I would read the comments and try to get people to laugh because they were so ridiculous. So
oh my God.
Have fun with it,
You definitely had fun with it. And, people are going to make assumptions. And like you said, it reflects how they feel about themselves and what they're carrying on the inside. It has nothing to do with you, especially people on the internet.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely.
And I didn't even ask you, girl, and you post so much content. You're very consistent on social media. Were you sharing an in-depth on any of your surgeries? Did you do any content on that? Or no, you just got the surgeries and kept it moving?
So at the time that I was having my surgeries done, I was still posting wedding photography content on Jess Fairchild. Okay. Now I have a separate account, James and Jess, for our wedding photography content. So that way I can post more about me and my lifestyle and more about boudoir photography too. So I had not shared anything about my surgeries online prior to even just a few months ago.
Yeah. And, I saw a post like, oh, you started to grow tremendously online and gain more followers because you were sharing your life and you were being a little bit more open and you started talking about your weight loss journey and the followers just started coming in. And that is what realistically people want to see. Like, wow, she lost over 100 pounds naturally and she transformed her life and she looks gorgeous. And look at her career. That's what makes you relatable. And you have such an amazing story. So I'm so glad that you opened up and started sharing your whole life and experiences.
Thank you. Honestly, it's because I had so many amazing women in my DMs that said, do you mind if I ask you questions about your breast?
Oh, they want the tea,
who is your doctor?
Honey.
What size? Yeah. Oh, yeah. And I realized I owe this to the girls. I've always been an open book. Anyone that would ask me, I would explain. But I realized I've never actually shared about this in a platform like that. So it was nerve-wracking at first because I thought, okay, this is a part of my story that not all of these people know.
Mm-hmm.
And it was met with the greatest, just the open arms. So many women thanked me and have gone through a similar process or are thinking about going through that process. And so it's just been such a
Mm-hmm.
gift for me to share my story and encourage and inspire women and answer any questions because there's just so much unknown
So many
going
unknown.
into, especially plastic surgery is not, it's an elective surgery. It's not an
Mm-hmm.
emergency surgery. So it's not something you
Yeah.
need, which means you can plan it out and you can ask all the questions and do all the research. So I was happy to be a part of that for so many women. And I'm so grateful you found me through that post.
Yes. And do you wish that you maybe recorded more content back when you were getting your surgeries? So, like, you have the memory and you can share it with the girls and show what you went through?
Yeah, I did record a decent amount of content in case I ever posted it one day.
Okay.
And I haven't actually gone through that content. I have posted a few in the reel that I posted about my skin removal. I included a few photos, and
Okay.
that was because I did take some good content back then.
Good.
I could probably spend a long time going through the content that I took to share it and knowing how much women enjoy this and are looking for this,
Uh-huh.
that encourages and inspires me to go back and look at that content. Because I know that there were times that I filmed it. My husband filmed me as we were leaving one of the doctor's offices,
Uh-huh.
and he said, "How do you feel?" And I said, "I'm so confused." He said, Why are you confused? What? You just had this great consultation." I said, "I'm so confused because I just found out I have to have two boob surgeries instead of one boob surgery." Like things like
Yeah.
that, I think would be really helpful to see how I felt in that moment because I was confused as I learned more information. It
Yeah.
confused me more, but then I realized this is my journey and this is my story. And as I started to make those decisions, that I'm so grateful I separated surgeries for that, it made
Yeah.
me really, really thankful.
Yeah, I think your story is amazing and that you can help educate lots of women out there, especially women going through weight loss surgery, just starting with that and then them kind of mentally preparing themselves that, they'll have the loose skin and things that they want might have to require surgery. And it might not just be one surgery, it might be two or three to achieve the look. And maybe they can start saving up their funds now and preparing for everything. So, Jess, I loved this conversation so much. You are iconic and amazing.
I loved every bit of this. Honestly, this was the highlight of my day. Thank you.
Yay! Of course, I think it's so important for women to hear real, honest experiences like this because there's literally no one size fits all when it comes to body and confidence. So thank you for being so open, taking time out of your day and sharing your journey with us. And for you guys listening, if you love this episode, make sure you share it, tag us, and let us know your thoughts because I already know that this episode with Miss Jess is going to get the people talking, honey. All right, Jess, thank you, my dear. I appreciate you so much. And girls, I will talk to you next week with a brand new episode. Bye.